Today, we're uncovering the hidden language of truly intelligent people. Not what they say, but what they deliberately choose never to say. These aren't just communication tips. They're the keys to unlocking a presence so magnetic that people gravitate toward your wisdom rather than being repelled by your words. By the end of this journey, you'll understand why the most brilliant minds throughout history shared one common trait. They knew that true power lies not in filling silence, but in mastering it. Are you ready to discover why less can truly be more? Sarah was the smartest person in her department, and everyone knew it because she made sure to remind them daily. Whenever someone shared an idea, her response was predictable. "Oh, I already know that," or "Yes, I've been saying that for months." She thought she was demonstrating expertise. Instead, she was building walls. The moment that changed everything came during a team brainstorming session. A quiet colleague suggested what seemed like a simple solution to a complex problem. Sarah's knee-jerk reaction kicked in. "That's too basic. We've tried similar approaches before." But this time, their manager interrupted. "Actually, Sarah, let's hear the full idea before we dismiss it." That basic solution ended up saving the company $50,000 and earned Sarah's colleague a promotion. Sarah realized she hadn't just missed an opportunity. She had actively blocked it with her need to appear all-knowing. Here's the profound truth. When you say, "I already know that," you're not showcasing intelligence, you're revealing insecurity. Truly intelligent people understand that knowledge isn't a competition, it's a collaboration. They know that even familiar concepts can reveal new angles when viewed through different perspectives. The alternative? Replace "I already know that" with "That's interesting. Tell me more about your perspective." This simple shift transforms you from a know-it-all into a knowledge magnet. People start sharing their best ideas with you because they know you'll listen, not judge. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything you hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything you see is perspective, not truth." When you embrace this wisdom, you stop needing to be right and start becoming wise. Meet David, a project manager who built his reputation on unwavering confidence. "I'm absolutely certain this will work," he'd declare in meetings. His team initially found his certainty reassuring, but over time, they noticed a pattern. David's 100% sure predictions were wrong about 40% of the time. The breaking point came when David guaranteed a client that their website would be live by Friday. Monday came, and they were still troubleshooting major issues. The client was furious, the team was demoralized, and David's credibility crumbled. His need to appear infallible had made him precisely that, fallible and untrustworthy. Intelligent people understand that certainty is often the enemy of truth. The more complex the situation, the more variables exist beyond our control. When you claim absolute certainty, you're not demonstrating confidence. You're revealing a dangerous blind spot. Consider how the wisest leaders communicate. "Based on current data, I'm confident this approach will work, though we should prepare for alternative scenarios." This isn't weakness, it's intellectual honesty. It shows you've considered multiple outcomes and prepared accordingly. The paradox of intelligence is this: the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. Nobel Prize winners often use phrases like "it appears that" or "evidence suggests" because they understand the provisional nature of knowledge. Claiming 100% certainty in an uncertain world isn't smart. It's naive. Replace absolute statements with calibrated confidence. Instead of "this will definitely work," try "I'm optimistic about this approach because." This shift doesn't diminish your authority. It enhances it by showing thoughtful consideration of complexity. Jennifer had a talent for explaining why nothing was ever her responsibility. When projects failed, It was because of unrealistic deadlines. When presentations flopped, it was due to poor resources. When relationships soured, it was always the other person's fault. Jennifer had become a master narrator of her own innocence. The wake-up call came during her annual review. Her supervisor said something that cut deep. "Jennifer, you're talented, but you've never once taken ownership of a failure. How can we trust you with bigger responsibilities if you can't acknowledge when something goes wrong?" That night, Jennifer reflected on her pattern. She realized that while her explanations might be technically accurate, they were stripping her of something more valuable than being right: the power to improve. By constantly deflecting blame, she was also deflecting the opportunity to learn and grow. Here's the counterintuitive truth: taking responsibility for failures makes you more trustworthy, not less. When you own your mistakes, people see someone who's self-aware enough to recognize problems and confident enough to fix them. When you deflect, they see someone who's dangerous to work with because they'll never take accountability. Intelligent people understand that fault and responsibility are different concepts. You might not be at fault for a situation, but you can still take responsibility for your response to it. This isn't about self-blame, it's about self-empowerment. The next time something goes wrong, resist the urge to explain why it wasn't your fault. Instead, ask, "What could I have done differently?" And "How can I prevent this in the future?" This shift from defensive to reflective thinking transforms setbacks into stepping stones. Michael thought he was the office social connector, always sharing the latest news about colleagues. "Did you hear that Tom might be getting fired?" Or, "I heard Lisa is having marriage problems." He believed he was keeping people informed, but he was actually eroding trust systematically. The revelation came when Michael discovered that sensitive information he'd shared in confidence was spreading throughout the company. When he confronted the person he'd told, they simply said, "Well, you share everyone else's business, so I figured you wouldn't mind if I shared yours." Michael realized he'd created a culture of gossip that eventually consumed him. Intelligent people understand that information is power, and how you handle that power reveals your character. When you gossip, you're not just sharing information. You're demonstrating that you can't be trusted with sensitive knowledge. People start wondering, if they're talking about others to me, what are they saying about me to others? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we should be guardians of our speech. Every word we utter should add value, not subtract it. Gossip subtracts value from relationships, creating suspicion and division where trust and unity should exist. But here's the deeper insight. Gossip is often a symptom of feeling disconnected or insignificant. We share others' business because it makes us feel important, like we're in the know. Intelligent people satisfy this need differently, by becoming genuinely helpful and developing expertise worth sharing. Replace gossip with curiosity about ideas rather than people. Instead of, "Did you hear what happened to Sarah?" Try, "I've been thinking about that strategy Sarah mentioned. What's your take on it?" This shifts conversations from personal drama to professional growth. Lisa loved talking about her future achievements. "When my startup takes off, I'm going to buy a house in Malibu. When I become a best-selling author, I'll travel the world. When I lose 30 pounds, I'll start dating again." Her conversations were filled with elaborate plans for a perfect future that somehow never seemed to arrive. The problem wasn't Lisa's ambition. It was her relationship with the present. By constantly discussing future accomplishments, she was avoiding current responsibilities. Her friends started noticing that Lisa talked about success more than she worked toward it. Her grand proclamations became a substitute for actual progress. The shift happened when a mentor asked Lisa a simple question: What are you doing today to make these dreams reality? Lisa realized she'd been using future planning as a form of procrastination, painting beautiful pictures of tomorrow while neglecting the unglamorous work of today. Intelligent people understand that dreams shared too early lose their power. There's something called social reality. When you talk about goals extensively, your brain gets some of the satisfaction of achieving them without doing the work. You literally talk yourself out of success. Moreover, constantly discussing future plans can make you seem disconnected from present realities. People want to work with someone who's grounded in current challenges, not someone who's mentally living in a fantasy future. The alternative is to become mysteriously productive. Let your results speak before your words do. When people ask about your projects, offer just enough information to satisfy curiosity without revealing your entire strategy. This creates intrigue and respect rather than skepticism. Robert had an opinion about everything and couldn't wait to share it. In meetings, he'd interrupt colleagues mid-sentence with, "But what I think is..." He believed he was contributing valuable insights. In reality, he was demolishing the collaborative spirit of every conversation he entered. The moment of truth came during a client presentation, when Robert interrupted his own team member to add value. The client later told their company that while the proposal was good, they were concerned about internal communication dynamics. Robert's interruptions had cost them a major contract. Here's what Robert didn't understand. Interruption isn't just rude, it's strategically stupid. When you interrupt, you're not just stopping someone from speaking, you're stopping yourself from learning. You're also signaling that your thoughts are more important than theirs, which creates resentment and resistance. Intelligent people know that the person speaking holds the power in that moment. By listening completely, you gain several advantages. You understand their full perspective, you have time to formulate a thoughtful response, and you demonstrate respect that makes them more receptive to your eventual input. But there's a deeper principle at work. Truly confident people don't need to rush to speak because they trust that their contributions will be valuable whenever they're offered. Interruption often stems from insecurity, the fear that if you don't speak immediately, your insight will become irrelevant. The next time you feel the urge to interrupt, pause and ask yourself, am I interrupting because I have something crucial to add, or because I'm afraid of being forgotten? Usually, it's the latter. Train yourself to listen for complete thoughts before responding. This doesn't slow down conversations, it elevates them. Amanda had a reason for everything. I would have finished the project, but the requirements kept changing. I would have made it to the meeting, but traffic was terrible. I would have called you back, but I've been swamped. Her vocabulary was rich with explanations, but poor with solutions. The pattern became clear during a team crisis when everyone was asked to work extra hours. While others simply got to work, Amanda spent 15 minutes explaining why the situation wasn't her fault and why overtime would be particularly difficult for her. By the time she finished explaining, others had already made significant progress. Amanda's colleague John offered a stark contrast. When faced with the same challenges, he simply said, "I'll figure it out and get it done." No excuses, no elaborate explanations, just commitment and action. Guess who got promoted? Here's the insight Amanda missed. Excuses might preserve your ego, but they destroy your reputation. Every excuse you offer is evidence that you see yourself as a victim of circumstances rather than a master of solutions. People stop relying on you because they know you'll have a reason why things didn't work out. Intelligent people understand that excuses and results exist in inverse proportion. the more excuses you offer, the fewer results you deliver. They also know that most people don't want to hear your reasons for failure. They want to see your commitment to success. The transformation is simple but profound. Replace explanations with actions. Instead of explaining why something went wrong, focus on what you're doing to make it right. Instead of listing obstacles, present solutions. This shift from defensive to productive thinking changes not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. Here's what we've discovered. Truly intelligent people aren't defined by what they know, but by what they choose not to say. They don't need to prove their intelligence through words because they demonstrate it through wisdom, restraint, and results. These 7 phrases we've explored, I already know that. I'm 100% sure. It's not my fault. Did you hear what happened? When I'm successful. But what I think is, and I would have, but, are more than just communication mistakes. They're windows into insecure thinking patterns that sabotage success. The beautiful truth is that changing your words changes your mindset. And changing your mindset changes your life. When you stop saying, I already know that, you become genuinely curious. When you stop claiming certainty, you become adaptable. When you stop making excuses, you become reliable. But here's the most powerful insight of all. The space you create by eliminating these phrases doesn't remain empty. It gets filled with something far more valuable. The kind of presence that draws people in rather than pushing them away. You become the person others seek out for advice, collaboration, and leadership. The masters of communication throughout history understood this principle. True power lies not in filling every silence with words, but in choosing your words so carefully that each one carries the weight of wisdom. Your transformation starts with your next conversation. Will you choose the words that reveal insecurity, or will you embrace the silence that demonstrates strength? The choice, as always, is yours. Remember, intelligence isn't about having all the answers. It's about asking better questions. It's not about being right all the time. It's about being curious all the time. And it's definitely not about filling every moment with words. It's about making every word count. Ready to master the art of intelligent communication? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss insights that could transform how you connect with others. Drop a comment below sharing which of these 7 phrases you're committed to eliminating from your vocabulary. I read every single comment and love hearing about your journey toward more powerful communication. Your transformation starts now, and I can't wait to be part of it.